You don't sign up till you get to the podium.
Anyway, I'm just curious. I'm glad you get
When you get to the podium, we don't have a sign-up sheet tonight. You want to do the pledge?
I thought that's where you were. Yeah. Everybody's good to make a motion to kill that ordinance.
Well, sorry, Rick. I didn't hit you, did I?
No.
Y'all ready?
I think.
Blood pressure worked up already.
All right. I missed you this morning. I just couldn't get here. Turn out good?
Yeah. We'll call the recess meeting to order. Let the record show that all aldermen are present. This time the invocation will be led by Stephen Glorioso and the Pledge of Allegiance by Ms. Jennifer Burgess. Please stand.
Please bow your head. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of Ocean Springs. In Christ's name we pray.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On item 5A, we're going to move that to the bottom of the agenda, so it'll be addressed last after Alderman and Mayor's report. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Blackman, second by Mr. Cox. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tonight, we have a special guest with us, Mr. Michael Lindsay, who was appointed superintendent of the Ocean Springs School District on May 9th. Mr. Lindsay is he'll be leading the one of the, if not the highest performing school districts in the state of Mississippi. He served as a teacher, coach, assistant principal, and assistant superintendent through his career. He holds a master's degree in education administration from the University of Southern Mississippi, where he also earned a Bachelor of Arts in coaching and sports administration and science education. Mr. Lindsay and his wife of 28 years, Heather, have 2 children, Sarah and Caroline. Lindsay has been a resident of the Gulf Coast for 22 years and enjoys playing golf and attending sporting events in his free time. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to the new superintendent of Ocean Springs School District, Mr. Mike Lindsay, and I'd like for you to come up and say a few words if you don't mind.
Thank you. I'm excited to be in Ocean Springs, excited to lead the best school district in the state of Mississippi, and before we're finished, it'll be the best school district in the nation is our goal. We're going to work on the strong foundation that Ocean Springs has here and the education system that we have and the school district we're all proud of, and just work on continuous improvement and getting better every day. And I look forward to working with Mayor Holloway and working with the rest of the board to build the partnership between the school and the city, so that we can offer the best resources and the best education for our kids and our community. So I'm excited. Me and my wife are excited to move over to Ocean Springs. We're looking to get over here as quick as we can so we can become involved in the community and be a part of the community. And if you ever need anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you out. If you have any concerns, feel free to reach out. But definitely looking forward to working with the board in building our schools and continue to build on the strong foundation we have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike came. We had a little meeting last Thursday, I think it was, or maybe Friday. We had we'd scheduled a 30-minute meeting, and an hour and a half later, we were still talking here. He grew up in Natchez, knows a lot of some of my kin folks that live up there, and so we know a lot of people in common. I think heard nothing but good things, and sure we're going to be very successful as a team.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Next item on the agenda is public comment. The public is invited to address the board for up to 3 minutes each, for a maximum of 30 minutes. This is agenda item, public comment. So when you come up, if you'd like to address the board, please state your name, your address, and what agenda item you're addressing. Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm William Clevenger. My address is 7932 Fountain Blue Road, proposed new annex area. I'll be discussing or going over item 5A, which is now at the back of the agenda. In looking over the ordinance, there was a few things that I know is probably just a standard ordinance. There's our definite concerns. One, I'm going to voice for myself. I can't speak for anybody else. I can speak for members of my family. Is if we had wanted to live within the city limits of Ocean Springs, we would have moved here. Plain and simple. We did not. Do we spend all our money here? Pretty much. We choose to come to Ocean Springs. I don't appreciate, nor can I say my family appreciates being told that you are trying to make us part of Ocean Springs City. Do we enjoy being here? Yeah, we do. Do we enjoy what you have? Yes, we do. We spend our money here. We pay our school taxes, but we just chose not to live in the city limits. In reading that, I honestly can say that I did not see one single benefit for y'all to take over that part of the county. Don't see it. Don't understand it. I see where I pay taxes for 5 years before you're even required to even begin to give me public services. That's what I do see. And the comments, Mayor, to be perfectly honest, that you made when I was in here just sitting earlier were downright offensive. Saying that I don't have a right to say anything because I don't live within the city limits. Well, you're about to change that if this goes through. I didn't ask for it. Nobody asked our opinion. But we were told this is what's going to happen. So now we're here to push back a little bit. At least I am. I think the thing to do would be to come in and ask us, is this what you want? This is what we're going to give you. This is what we're going to provide. You provide me nothing that I don't get already. Nothing. But you're going to take from me. You're going to make my cost of living go up. Everybody in the affected area, our cost of living is going up. And it's a very unique plan you got. I noticed that there's a little island of the county that'll still be out there. Y'all just glaze on by it. Let's go for the easy, low-hanging fruit. That's what you got with us. Low population density, high acreage, high taxes. Thank you. I do appreciate that. But I would really appreciate if you would have come in and said, hey, this is what we want to do. Or maybe take a poll. Because come election time, do you really think when we finally do get to have a say-so, that we're going to come back and say, oh, yeah, you're our guy? Doubt it. Because you are telling me that I've got to live under your rules, under your administration, when I had no time to do anything. I rest my case.
Thank you, sir. If anyone else would like to address the board? All right, moving on to old business. Next on the agenda is adopt a resolution declaring the intention of the City of Ocean Springs, Mississippi to issue tax increment financing bonds of said city to finance the cost of installing construction certain infrastructure improvements in connection with the development of 1515 Government Street and related improvements within said city in accordance with the authority granted to municipalities by the legislature with respect to tax increment financing as set forth in Chapter 14 of Title 21 Mississippi Code of 1972 as amended, finding and determining that such project is a project eligible for tax increment financing and in accordance with the said act and for related purposes. Troy, you want to come up first, and then Mr. Gouris is going to talk to us.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. I'm Troy Johnson. I'm with Butler Snow. A couple months ago, we discussed the 1515 Government Street project and the fact that the developers had approached the city and asked for them to provide some incentives for through tax increment financing. And what that is, again, is the developers will go and build certain public type infrastructure improvements, sidewalk, roads, things like that, public build, and then be reimbursed with TIF bonds that the city subsequently issues after the project is completed. Now, those bonds would be repaid by the tax increment that the project creates, the new taxes that the project creates. That's how you do it, okay? The developer, in this case, is asking for up to $1 million. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to issue $1 million in bonds. We're going to let him build his project, and we're going to see what kind of taxes he generates. But they're asking for using a portion of the sales tax and the ad valorem tax of the city. This is also in partnership with the county. Now, Chris Gouris is here. They've got as their consultants, and I'll let Chris tell y'all a little bit more about the project.
Thank you, Troy. To give the board a recap, or let me back up. Chris Gouris, Gouris & Associates is my company, and I'm here on behalf of Ovos Development. Mr. Orpeza and Mr. Harden, who I think y'all come to know very well over the years in their efforts to redevelop this publicly owned piece of property that has heretofore not produced any tax revenues for the community. The project sits on 2.1 acres, roughly a $33 million private investment. Presently, there are no taxes being generated by the project. We believe upon completion that there'll be a $32,000 property tax increase for the city, about a $57,000 increase for the county, and very importantly, heard from the superintendent, $74,000 increase for the school district. We expect sales to be in excess of $7 million per year, which will generate significant sales taxes for the city, roughly $94,000 a year. Additionally, some of the hospitality and food service activities there are subject to additional hospitality and F&B taxes that would create an additional $56,000 a year for the city's 2% F&B tax and $49,000 a year for the city's hospitality or the tourism and economic development tax. The county also will be subject to receiving about $50,000 on their 2% tax on restaurants and hotels. When we were last before the board, we gave an overview of the project in its entirety and talked about the tourism incentive rebate program through the Mississippi Development Authority. The board authorized us to proceed with that, and since then the state of Mississippi has approved the tourism rebate. And we mentioned that based on what the state would consider for the tourism rebate, sales taxes generated by the project from retail sales, not hotel and F&B, could be available for tax increment financing. So once that approval was made by the Mississippi Development Authority, we're back before the board to ask that the city consider tax increment financing. As Mr. Johnson mentioned, the TIF plan that is before you would establish the 2.1 acres as the tax increment financing district, where the city can use the new incremental increase in taxes to service the debt on tax increment financing bonds. One of the most important things, the check and balance there that protects the city is hopefully, knock on wood, after you have a public hearing in July, and consider the plan for approval. When our clients go forward and build this project, on the back end, when the project is completed, and the tax assessor can verify what the new values are going to be, and therefore the new property taxes, and then the new sales taxes that get created. On the back end, we'll come forward with a certificate from the tax assessor, and we'll come forward with a certificate from the Department of Revenue that identifies the actual taxes created, and then a portion of those will be used to finance the TIF bonds. We've had preliminary conversations with the supervisors and are hopeful that they will participate in the tax increment financing as well. It's quite customary for cities to take the lead, and then we're hopeful the county will follow suit. As Troy mentioned, the bonds that are authorized are up to $1 million. So based upon the actual tax creation on the back end, all property tax and a portion of the sales tax, and if the county's with us, a portion of the county tax, that revenue will determine how much of that $1 million can be issued at that point in time. Once issued, the city will pay for its issuance costs. Customarily, there's some debt service reserves that get set aside, and then the net amount of those bonds are used to reimburse our clients for eligible expenditures. Tonight you have before you a resolution that will just set a public hearing for July 18. We would come back then, the board would open up for public comment, hopefully favorably consider the TIF plan for approval. At that time, we would also ask that the city consider a development agreement, which is the contractual obligation between the city and our developer. The TIF plan gives you the authority to act. The development agreement is what would obligate the city going forward. And that's about all I have at the moment, Mayor. If you've got any questions from the board, happy to.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Gores? This is basically the same thing we talked about.
Covered it all.
This is all the same stuff we talked about
Same
before, I'm
stuff.
pretty sure.
Yes, it is. I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution as written on the agenda.
Motion by Mr. Aldermen, second by Mr. Pena. Any further discussion? Need a roll call?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is weapons policy discussion. Robert?
Mayor, this goes back many meetings ago when this was first introduced, and I requested that Chief Dustin and I have the opportunity to sit down and look at the proposal. And the proposal was basically a policy that the city of Pascagoula had put into effect. And so the Chief and I got together several times, and what we came up with is basically what Pascagoula's is, but we added a provision in there that anyone seeking to have the an employee requesting authority to carry a firearm, obviously we're talking about non-law enforcement, but that they have to get approval from the board. So that was the change that Chief Johnson and I, in relying heavily on the Chief, thought would be needed if this was a policy the board will adopt.
Mayor, I'd like to just say one thing. Robert, thank you for putting the time in on this. But personally, I'm not interested in this policy, and I'm going to make a motion that we just let this pass and not accept it.
After all that work,
After all that work, I'm sorry. I thought I told you that about 2 months ago.
you did tell me that 2 months ago.
There's a motion by Mr. Cox, a second by Mr. Aldermen. Is there any further discussion?
Well, I'm kind of interested as to why that is. I mean, what's the thought process, if you don't mind my asking?
Well, I mean, there's state regulations on gun policy, so we're covered. I don't think there's a reason or a need for us to put this in play.
We've had some employees that
Well,
have come to work.
it's never been brought forth to this board.
That's why we brought this policy.
I made a motion, I got a second. So.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
The record show that we have 6 for, 1 opposed, Ms. Burgess. Okay, next item, is there anything that needs to be pulled from the consent agenda? Motion,
motion to approve the consent agenda.
motion by Mr. Impey,
Second.
second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Department reports. Is there the motion to approve docket claims?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Impey,
Second.
second by Mr. Wade. All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor? I'm sorry. Motion carries. Reading something here. Is there anyone have any questions about the sewer adjustments? I'm sorry. Is there anyone that want to pull anything from the docket of claims?
No.
Is there a motion? to
Make a
approve
motion, we approve the docket of
Motion
claims.
by Mr. Cox,
Second.
second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there any questions about the sewer adjustments?
Make a motion to authorize the adjustment of the water and sewer accounts due to the finding that the customer did not receive the benefit of the utility, Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Wade. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. General public comment. Public is invited to address the board up to 3 minutes each for a maximum of 30 minutes. Only 2 speakers will be allowed per each side of the issue. Please identify yourself clearly at the podium before speaking. Yes, sir.
Due to my gray hair, I have an inability to understand anything you guys say. I see you guys.
Sir, excuse me a second, sir. Come to the
Somebody turn it up.
come to the podium, please, and state your name.
My name is Albert Diaz. I lived in this community for 20 some odd years. I moved to Ocean Springs Road in 1982. I'm in the mid-80s. After I read this, I find out I'm going to pay taxes for approximately 5 years before I get a scintilla of any benefit from this committee. I won't be here because of my health. You talk about taxation without representation. What are we doing here? You are taxing us with giving us nothing. I see a whole bunch of people here. What are you going to do? I see a lot of people who are not here, who are in my situation, who don't have the money to give to you for receiving nothing, because we'll probably be dead before we can. I think he said something, I couldn't really understand what you said. But thank you for saying something. Because there's a lot of people out there that feel the way I do. Nobody asked us. Got a minute. Nobody asked us if I wanted to join in Ocean Springs. I love Ocean Springs. My children graduated here. I worked here in Ocean Springs for 47 years. This is my city. But when you start giving me taxes with nothing in return but money, 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 that gentleman didn't have to sit here for 3 minutes with the whatever project he's talking about. What was he talking about? I couldn't understand. But everybody's, oh, yeah, I don't hear what you said, but everybody kind of nodded. I assume you agreed with him to get taxes money. That's all I have to say. But turn your speakers up, please, so we can hear. If you go buy a decent hearing aid, they want $5,000 for it. Turn the damn volume.
Thank you, Doc.
Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Diaz. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Do I need to state my name again?
Yes, ma'am.
Deborah Parker, I live at 3201 Hamel Farm Road, Ocean Springs, where you got that. I'm opposed to the annexation because I too feel like we're going to be taxed and you're not going to be able to service us. You can't give us anything that we don't already have. We've got a fire department that is great. We've got sheriff's department that's great. And I've asked a couple of the aldermen at different times basic questions when this first came up. What fire department is going to service me on Hamlet Farm Road? You know what the answer I got? I don't know. Where are y'all going to put a substation for police out there? I don't know. To me, that would be something that any alderman sitting up here ought to be able to tell me right off the bat. This fire station is going to cover this area, and this fire station is going to cover that area. You skipped over Gulf Park with tons of houses, tons of tax dollars. Yeah, there might be things there you don't want, but we don't always get to choose just what we want. You take the bad along with the good, but that's not what you're doing. When you go to the county web mapping and you look at the houses on the north side of Fontainebleau Road, most of it has acreage. Most of them are on agricultural tax. And if you go and add up the tax dollars, it's not that much. No, you're not getting enough to warrant taking us in and how much you're going to have to spend on it. And I just think when I listen to these gentlemen here talking about the project, I'm not against project and I'm not against progress. But the one thing that caught my ear that made me want to come up here was he said, you're going to have a public hearing and let the public talk about it and ask questions. Well, I think you guys should have given us that same courtesy. But no, you come in here, you vote, it's a done deal, and now we're in court about it. And I think you all should have given us that same courtesy to have a public hearing and at least let us ask questions, because you haven't done that. We haven't been given the opportunity to even ask questions about this annexation. We can come and make public comments, but nobody has to tell us a thing. And I don't care how you look at it, every one of y'all know that's the wrong way to handle things. A gentleman from this, he doesn't work for the city, but he's well known in the city, said, oh, it's just a friendly annexation. And I told him at the last meeting, there's nothing friendly about an annexation when you don't tell the people. You just vote on it. Not one thing friendly about it. And shame on all of you for not at least giving us a heads up and an opportunity to talk about it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak? We've had two people speak against annexation, so we need somebody. That would be the end of the conversation for against annexation.
I'm Linda Williams, 4110 Yosemite Drive. Kind of piggybacking off of what Ms. Debbie was just talking about, but my concern is Yosemite Drive being paved and something going on with Dina. Can someone please tell me what the status is? Also this afternoon about 5:20 for the second time in a row, there comes that tanker down Yosemite. Our street's already deplorable. You know, I don't want to really talk about annexation, but you got to take care of what we have, and that's what my frustration is. We're not taking care of what we have. Thank you. You don't live in the neighborhood, you don't have to deal with it. But that's not a good attitude. I hope that's not your attitude, but it's very frustrating. We're not getting any answers on our paving, so can someone please tell me?
Yes, ma'am, I'll talk to you about that. The county pays the city roads. The county gets a tax from the city or the city roads, and the county is responsible for paving the city roads. The county told us that they would start paving the city roads about, well, the last meeting in 6 weeks. So we anticipate that the county will start paving city roads by the middle of July. Dina is in the process of being widened. The city has spent our money for engineering, underground services, and we're ready to go. We're waiting on the county to participate in the project. They were supposed to give us $1 million. Somehow or another that didn't happen. The county's next budget is going to provide $1 million for that piece of property, that road, to finish the paving on it.
without Yosemite, where does that put us in the?
Well, that puts you in 6 weeks, that puts you in the middle of July.
With Dina.
Yes. No, Dina's a whole separate project. Whole separate project. The maintenance paving, which is what Yosemite is going to be, is supposed to start by the middle of July.
That's for the entire city, though. That wherever they
That's
have
right.
Yosemite in it is where it'll fall under.
Wherever they get to that part of town.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. All right, does anyone else want to address the board?
Just Oh, I'm Katie Yao at 1219 Park County Drive, Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Do you know we still got that problem out there at Park Town? I've been out there 42 years, and nothing's been done. The drainage is still nothing done. What happened to the money? I know it's been allocated, but you take the money and move it somewhere else.
No, ma'am, that is not true.
It's not?
We just finished a drainage project out in that area. I'll defer to our project manager. They just did the closeout documents on that not long ago.
Yeah, Katie, I've been out there with you. Both of the ditches around their house have been redone, and with drainage, you have to wait for a rain event to determine if there's still a problem.
42 years is a long time.
It's done now, so you gotta give it a little bit.
Here's my driveway right here. Here's my driveway right here. The water is still getting up in the yard. My neighbor won't cut his grass because he's afraid that water's going to come up to his house again. Water's been in the house 7 years. Had nothing been done.
Miss Katie, we've had project after project out in that area.
Why isn't it fixed?
It's as good as it can
Why
be. Unfortunately, that community was built when it was in the county and years before we had the standards and codes that we have today. Unfortunately, there are some properties out there that aren't near a ditch, and there's nothing we can. There's no easements. That's not the way it was platted. Unfortunately, we've done projects around that cemetery. We've done projects behind your house. We've done project after project out there, and I understand when we have rain events like we've had recently, and we have my road floods when we get 3 or 4 or 5 inches of rain in a few hours. If I'm not mistaken, typically drainage is built to handle up to 1 inch an hour. Is that not correct? Hope at best, hopefully. And I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
The back ditch, it's all broke up where the water comes down from the front when it gets too much in there to go out that back ditch around. It has to be cleaned out. I call at least 2 or 3 times a month to try to get that ditch cut. And it hadn't been cut all the way. And they said to keep that graveyard or up there from the park all the way around cut for the policemen to get in there. I know they come up in there, but they don't pay us. And it hadn't been cut either.
Alan, is that on?
All that was cut about 2 weeks ago.
I'll say I was just out there this past weekend, Miss Katie, and it was cut.
It hasn't been cut. This is my driveway. This is my driveway. Thank you.
I understand your driveway. The oak tree is pushing that concrete up. And
you don't ever come out there to ask the people what they need.
I speak to people out there all the time. That oak tree pushing up your driveway, I'm sorry, that's private property. There's nothing, it's been discussed.
My driveway's got to be fixed. I'm getting ready to put my driveway in. But that is on the street is the city responsibility.
Private driveways are not city responsibility.
I didn't say my driveway. I said the city where you come into the driveway. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Katie. Anyone else would like to address the board?
Very unhappy.
Okay, moving on to Mayor and Alderman's Forum. Alderman Burgess.
Yeah, so thank you guys for meeting with me and going over some things. So, for our discussion, we've got concrete work that's coming in the next month for sidewalk repairs. And, Stephen, we've got the ADA compliance swing coming for the park.
July right after the 4th.
6th, yeah.
Yes.
Great, thank you guys so much.
Alderman Altamont.
Stephen, on the fort, did they come look at that, at the play stuff on the fort to see what's fixed, what's gonna have to be replaced?
I have Jeff Code Recreation coming in Friday to help me look at it. And then I have a Pelican playground coming in next week to look at it, to see if it just needs to be fixed or replaced.
Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Now, you get a chance to look at that ditch on Simon?
Yeah, looks pretty good.
What about-
Stephen's gonna clean that mouth of that pipe out a little bit tomorrow morning.
Okay, and get that trash out?
Yep.
Okay, sounds good, that's it.
Wait, while you're on the ditch on Simon, how about where it's washing in a couple spots? I saw yesterday where we cut the tree just to the side of it.
Just to the south of there.
Another one, I got a call on a sinkhole on Oak Lawn, 18 Oak Lawn. I know it's in the work. And I gave them a report probably a month ago saying that it would be coming. I guess that's on slip line.
It's on the slip line, and that's gotta have a box installed. We got the box ordered, it hasn't come in yet.
If we can get over there and at least do something. They said that it's getting up close to the concrete and it's starting to show cracks in its concrete. If you wouldn't mind, thank you. That's all I have.
Ward 4 is good, Mayor.
Thank you.
Ward 5 is good, Mayor.
Thank you.
Any progress on the fire hydrant at Dina and OS Road?
I got the fire hydrant in yesterday, and they should have that installed before the end of the week.
Okay, good deal. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the contract with Smith Industrial Service for the video of utility lines, storm drains, and sanitary sewer lines.
Motion by Mr. Impey, second by Mr. Blackman. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's all I got.
Okay. Just a reminder, the July regular meeting will be held on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. That'll be Wednesday, July 5th, due that the holiday is on Tuesday, July 4th. I need a motion to go into closed session to determine the necessity of going into executive session.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Altamont. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is accepted and approved. The board is now in closed session.
Back there and get this over. We can get everybody back quick.
Yep.
Be a record tonight.
What I thought it will be.
7 a.m. I got MML.
Tuesday, Wednesday, but we'll be at fire ESM. We're gonna start at 7.
I'll make you one of them.
There's a joke. Oh, that was.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, I think I may be.
All right. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a fight. John McKay is. I'm not John. I mean, excuse me, not John McKay. That's what it is. Young like to see. The city's got to grow, and where it's screwed us is you put the high school out in the county. Yeah, and that, you walk out one side, you go to that way. That was all right. Oh, Stephen. Hey, Stephen. Really? My McKay sign?
Sarah's working on it. Sarah's working on it. It's gonna be out front.
Huh?
Sarah's on it.
You promise me?
I promise.
You promise?
Yes, sir.
Can we take a knife and cut wrist and do it like this?
I'll put it, she's working, I promise.
Okay.
Because they were there and they showed they could do it. You never know what happens. I'm going to find it.
Did you hit the turn the button back on for me? I can get it.
Okay, I'll tell her.
We appreciate it.
28 years
I mean, if there were 3 years, what's the same problem? That's the
Okay, everybody. Y'all want to hear the motion? Yes, please. Okay. Motion made by Jennifer Bird. Can y'all give me 1 minute? I'm going to announce this and then everybody can go back to talk until they come back out. Motion made by Jennifer Burgess, seconded by Kim Papania, to stay in executive session to discuss annexation litigation. Now, you can go ahead now.
Okay.